welcome to the Asian American Forward podcast. I'm really excited about the show this week because today we have a guest. Alongside my usual co-host, Don Sun, we also have Sandy Chau joining us today. So Don, hello as usual. And Sandy, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Hi to you both. And I'm super excited to talk to you today and hear more, especially about Sandy's work promoting Asian Americans in politics. Before we get into the meaty stuff, I wanted to ask Don, you chose Sandy as our first guest ever for the show. And so why did you pick Sandy to talk to us this week?
Yeah, basically, I judged people by the character. So Sandy have a huge impact in my American political life and also as a human being. So he's not only generous, but has a is a visionary and have a very broad heart. This one has always inspired me. Whenever I wake up every morning, it's my friend like Sandy, Shen Kong, Ken Fong, and the Shen Kong, they CC, they all has been working with me as my mentor for over like 10, 20 years. So it's every day when I wake up, I always feel some kind of responsibility. They have been reached a certain level, but for me, every day when I wake up, I'm fully energized to try to do something for this community, for this country. So Sandy has been, we don't talk too much, but every time when I talk to him, I just feel it's fully re-energized for my life and the meaning of my life. That's why I want Sandy to share some of his thought, his vision, and give the Asian American in this country some I cannot say it's educational, but just to give us some personal experience because we need people like Sandy to deliver his message or that kind of message. That's the whole purpose.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear more. And also, Sandy, of course, to hear some of your own personal story. And I'd love to kind of open up the conversation by hearing, Sandy, about how your 2020 went. What has it been like for you experiencing kind of the year at home and this living through this pandemic?
Well, anyways, 2020 started with a bang, and then I was very happy to start the year with a tour with the with the Alumni Association to visit the pyramids in Egypt, and then immediately after coming back in in February, everything changed, and then I really expect 2020 will be a long year, but somehow today is the last day of 2020, and then I can reflect and kind of think, wow, it's just like 2020 just passed like a flash, and then it's just like yesterday. So therefore, basically, even though it seems to be a lot of things happen, but however, it's over. So therefore, in such a case, the anticipation and then of the long year just passed, and then it just passed. So therefore, much has happened, and then I would say in reviewing, it's an eventful year. Then I'd experienced than any year during the past. So therefore, it's an eventful year. But however, along the way, because of the staying home, about myself, I actually a few things I get better in 2020, and then put it this way, I became a better gardener. I'm expert in pulling weeds right now, and then I become a better cook. And then if my wife agreed, I certainly believe so. I think I become a better husband. So therefore, for personal growth, I think I can even grow a little bit during my old age. But however, it's a very, very challenging year. The challenging year is just I still have some remnants of some investment in my portfolio companies, and they all suffer quite a bit. And then it was pretty sad that we had to reduce the the workforce. And then for those who dedicated so much, and then we just couldn't keep them, and that was pretty sad. But among our own community, I mean, every year during this past, somehow the leadership of the a country is not really try to embrace and then we prepare for embracing this challenge, and then be mindful and then really try to handle this the virus situation, but rather to blaming on somebody on the destructive way rather than constructive way. When it becomes destructive and people following the ignorance of not knowing the details and not understanding the environment and act strangely, this amount, I don't believe it is something that we can educate it right away, but it's a long-term situation that really put up the fire of quite a few very bad things to happen. That means a lot of hate crime against the Asian Americans. Among the Chinese American, especially the women, especially the elder women, in California alone, there were thousands of cases that's actually reported on hate crime, that verbal abuse, physical abuse, and then some old lady that's in the late 80s was even set on fire by such a hate crime situation. And when when people coming out and say, we just accept we're just a part of the United States citizens, but somehow that doesn't really come out very well, because because of this, I would say much have to be done. And then the in March, end of March, and then the Civil Leadership USA that I created sponsored a program on hate crime that Congresswoman Grace Meng came and really introducing legislation on hate crime. And then there's some warm reception from New York. The treasurer of New York City, his mother used to be a city councilman, and then she died. She was so sad, and she just really want to speak to all of us and the importance of togetherness. So therefore, on one hand, we have people of ignorance committed a lot of hate crime, but on the other hand, the people of well-educated understanding come to stand by with us. And then in April, that the Assemblyman David Chau also have 4 sessions nationally on hate crime and how to deal with the Asian Americans. 4 sessions, and then we have thousands of people showed up. And then I think we talk a lot, but I think fundamentally it is, I would say, this what we need is just, we need a lot of compassion, we need a lot of understanding, we need a lot of acceptance, and a lot of education of not, once you have sufficient information within yourself, and once you have enough knowledge, then you will not be fear of the unknown. You're dealing with the known. When you're dealing with the known, you try to solve the problem rather than deplete it. So so what I felt is this: I think the leadership of this country should not be so selfish and want to protect the past good. I think it's us. When you're downplaying other people, you're depleting the water level everywhere. So therefore, at the end, everybody got lower. So this is why I really like the word that you should go high rather than go low.
Oh, right.
When you go high,
Michelle Obama.
Yeah, that's right. When you go high, that means you elevate everybody's, I mean, the watermark. And then when everybody else surrounding you are elevated, you as a boat, we're in the same boat. When all the water is coming up, I mean, we're on the same boat. We have no way but come up. So therefore, basically, we should really do is really promote that the buoyancy rather than really deplete anybody and try to blame on everybody, and then you deplete everything. So therefore, basically, what I felt is this: for this hate crime and everything, it's really we should have positive engagement rather than really negative depleting. So therefore, basically, immediately after that, what the Chinese Association Union, they launched those free lunch boxes, 5,000 of them to those needy. And then for the Bridge Road International that happened to be in one of my my office, we donate tens of thousands of PPE masks to the first time we did it to San Mateo County and to Alameda County, and now we're working on the Santa Clara County. I would say this kind of good gesture, really promoting the positive end of it, is something that I always believe in.
Yeah.
Rather than you fighting with mechanism and then the hatred or whatsoever, that is not going to solve the problem of togetherness. So therefore, basically, well, let's go for the high road.
I totally agree, Sandy. That reminds me, you know, a lot of another metaphor that I heard this summer when all the protests were going on, that we, you could think of America as us. I love the metaphor of the boat. And that you could think of America sort of as an old house that we're all like living in together.
Right, yes.
And it has a lot of like work that it needs done, but also it's like a really beautiful old house that we get to sort of like be in together and focus on that togetherness. So
yeah, I totally agree with that. But however, we have to keep the old house. At the same time, we build the new house. But with the old house intact and then keep what is good in the old house. It's almost like recently the highway in Silicon Valley on Highway 101 here. They're enlarging every bridge. If you build a new bridge, it takes a year. But if you have to keep the old bridge and enlarge it, it takes 3 years. So therefore, but however, life is not interrupted. But somehow at the end, you suffer quite a bit in between. But at the end, the freeway is enlarged and everybody get that convenience. So therefore, I believe in preserving a good system, at the same time to make it relevant for the future, it's really a huge task. For some places that do not have a system, they just build a system. So therefore, to build a system and then improve on the system, I would say we all have to really put extra effort to contribute to that.
Sandy, I agree with you. You're talking about the build system. I think in your whole life, in the Asian American politics, you always try to build some alliance, try to find the common denominators to bring people together and build the infrastructure and the platform. I think you have and so many from a Vision Young America to the civil National Civil Leadership Forum, all these kind of organization, you build one after another. And the most amazing things for me, honestly, is that everyone living in this world, they always some personal ego, including myself. But since I know you, I start to try to reduce my personal ego as much as I can. You never put your personal ego there. So every event, every organization, you are just put your heart there and give all the credit to the others. So in your life, when I can now say, what's the most achievement that you think in your life, beside your successful business side? What's the political side that you think is you can very proudly told next generation, or is it the next generation? What's the achievement that you want to people remember you like this?
No, I'm not seeking for remembrance. So therefore, basically, when I die, I just want a simple tombstone rather than a complicated tombstone. So therefore, basically, for that, I I would say a lot of times I would say the reason for a lot of unifications that cannot be done, and a lot of times when the organization cannot last until the first the significant leader no longer active or pass away, and then it is continue, is because it was a very centralized situation. And then what I would like to see is my aim is not for the individualism, but rather, as I mentioned before, I rather see the water level is up everywhere else. So therefore, in such a case, I will elevate myself at the same time. So that's always my philosophy. So therefore, basically, if I help all my surrounding to be up, then in such a case, I'll be very, very happy, because reason why is this, I will feel all my immediate community and all surrounding will be up at the same time. And then put it this way, I'm only a part. I think everybody is only a very small part of a very large community. But however, if so many individuals in the large community that do not interact with each other, do not collaborate with each other, is a fragmented, multiple small individuals. And then they are not together. It cannot be a force, because it's so fragmented. So what happened is this: the Asian American have a lot of common value, a lot of common strength. But unfortunately, it will take a lot of effort to gather all this together. Because I would say the Asian Americans are typically coming to this country. They are actually cream of the crop within their own place when they came over. And they're basically, a lot of them are well educated. They're actually eager to learn, and they're very, very eager to adapt. And then they're more than willing to assimilate. So why? It is because they feel this is a great country. This is a great country for the next generation and future generation to come. And this is, no matter what kind of shortcoming whatsoever, this is still, United States is a great system. And then we want to be in the system. And then we want to contribute to our system, because United States, for the past 200 some years, and then even longer than that, is a place that everybody have ideal and want to make a better world for our future generations. There are quite a few things. For a better future generation, we want to foster a fair system. A system that the have would assist the have-not. When everybody elevated, there will be less conflict and there will be more a better fair system in this country. And for me, I would say the Asian Americans, the unity problem is us that we're still very new. We're still very, very timid. And then what we need is we need to be warm up. It takes a little time to warm up, to participate and to influence, and then to contribute. I would say the major society have to allow the Asian American to participate, because I would say this country has so much talent and energy and then goodwill whatsoever. If the general public will allow and accept and have the generosity to be more inclusive, then I would say this would be a stronger United States. So therefore, we are not really delay and hamper the eagerness to contribute, rather to allow the contribution to the generals in the civil community way. Because Asian Americans, they say, okay, let me not care about everything. Let me do my thing. Whether I'm a medical professional, whether I'm an architect, whether I'm in high tech, whatsoever, I just do my technical thing and then go home and then separate from the society. And that is the wrong thing. Why they do that is because we do not have an inclusive society enough to really be open up to everyone. So therefore, it's a two-way street. It's for the newcomer, they have to open up their heart. But for the general public, they should be embrace this newcomer. I think it all boils down to, I would say, education, and then also, what I felt is this: that it'll be very, very difficult with so little resources to help out. Then we just need role model. We just need leadership. So therefore, basically, this is why I was so excited when Andrew Yang announced for running for president. I would say we lack role model. This is a person brave enough to be a role model, to really be, let's say, running for any public office. There's a tremendous amount of determination, because the determination is you have to overcome many things. You have to overcome your own livelihood. You have to overcome your financial resources and then security. And then you have to get out of your comfort zone, get into a difficult situation. When you get into a difficult situation, that means that you're completely losing your privacy. You're no longer yourself, because you're always, whatever you do, right or wrong, people will attack you. And then whatever you have done during the past, they will open up and then really, really try to find, I don't know, it's, in Chinese, to see whether there's bone in your tofu. So, so therefore, basically, it's very hard. And then put it this way, you know, all your training whatsoever, to prepare for it, if you don't do that, otherwise you will have a great life. You do not have to sacrifice your family life. You can see your kids every day, and then you can do, you could have a bigger retirement fund and everything. Because of all this, I really admire role model. And then what I need is this: you just cannot educate 20 million, 22 Asian Americans. So therefore, my feeling is this: if somebody is willing to be taking the lead, then you just get the maximum for that leader. And then John, you did ask me what I have to do. If I become really running in the forefront, become a leader, I really spend all the energy on me. if I spend energy on all the emerging leaders, then I just stay back and watch all the leaders taking the leadership. Then I would say, I would be so happy to see so many leaders rising up. And one person is just, for example, put it this way,
Sandy, I want to
say,
jump in and
yes,
ask you a question,
yes.
because I think, yeah, you're definitely hitting on something here, that it takes a lot of bravery and sacrifice to sort of be that first role model, and that adjusting to a new environment is really difficult. So I'd also like to hear a little bit more about your personal story as someone who is not an Asian American and also was born in the US. I'm really curious, like, about what you have found maybe to be the most difficult thing to adjust to about American culture. But also on the flip side, what you see as like the unique contribution that Asian Americans can bring to the US kind of out of their cultural diversity.
Yeah. Put it this way, I'll give you one example of myself. I think it's my personal story. And then I would say acceptance, and then have a somewhat a different perspective. It was in the let me give you a very, very quick rundown of my life. Very quick rundown. I spent the first 5-6 years in China before I went to Hong Kong for 7 years. And then I was in Vietnam for 3 years, and back to Hong Kong for 3 years, and United States for 4.5 years, back to Vietnam for 3 years, and then came back to United States for 10 years, and then went to Taiwan for 2 years and Hong Kong for 10 years. And then I came back about 20 years ago. So therefore, you add it up, I'm an old person. So, however, let me give you an example of 43 years ago. I started a company in making microchips, and with my high school buddy, and then I went to the bank, and then I was very fortunate, able to have people to support me and things like that. And then, but when I went to Bank of America and talk about a leasing line, I actually get the leasing company line up. And then and then it's the same, different department. It's not a branch in Bank of America. When I go to the bank, they're very surprised. I say, what is your surprise? Then the surprise is the standard stereotyping. The standard stereotyping is just, they just assume the past. They do not willing to listen to you about your present and then the potential future. So this is what I would say, the good thing to the past should be preserved, but we should be more daring for the future, that Asian American at that time could be successful in high tech. But after 40 years, I would say more than half of the all startup in the Silicon Valley involve some Asian Americans participants. But 40 some years ago, it was not heard of. So therefore, basically, when I come in, they were so surprised. They even though it is a compliment comment, but I don't think that is compliment, because I say, oh, you're doing something different. I thought you're coming in for refrigerator for the grocery store, washing machine for a laundry shop, and then or the a stove top for your kitchen and things like that. So therefore, basically during that time, we completely still stereotype because of what they have seen during the past. We're basically laundry people, we're basically grocery shop people, we're basically people in the kitchen cooking fast food and chop suey for the general public. So when I said I want to be in high tech, they're totally surprised. So therefore, basically, we just need to change their perception. So because of that, and now I would say to be fighting a startup is hard enough, and then startup at the Asian American 40 some years ago, it's very difficult. We need somebody. We need a union of people helping each other. So therefore, I created Asian American Manufacturer Association at that time, because the member, even though at the beginning we only maybe have to start with a handful and with a few dozens of members, because then we will share our knowledge and our contacts. Somebody who have labor experience, then they will share. And somebody have payroll problem, somebody have account payable problem, account receivable problem, we will share. And if somebody have PR challenges, advertising, promotion, and human resource hiring, and then how to grow and how to handle all those things, when one person do not possess all those knowledge, but so together, when we share, when we network, finally, I would say within 5 years, we have hundreds of members, and within 10 years, we have thousands of members, and then actually started by Asian Americans multiply tenfold, hundredfold afterwards. So I would say the importance of it is that we have to really be generous to each other. And this is how it formed. My philosophy is be generous, be inclusive, you're open. A closed system will not get you very far. But however, together, I would say rewriting on each other's efforts.
Sandy, I want to jump in to ask you a question about your professional business and the chip maker from Silicon Valley. If there have a particular event to trigger your, after this 20 years, the passion and in the politics, in the community, in the return to the community, there's two kinds of things. One is the pure politics. It involves a lot of power struggle and the election. The other is the general charitable, the return to the community to help the poor people. That's kind of things that I think you have a passion in both directions. We call it the C3 or it's the C4 OPAC. You have passion to the both. I'm more interested in, like most the audience here, we're interested which part or which event trigger your long-term passion in the politics. You just mentioned the role model. It's like Andrew. I have been with him 2 years. I know you are my role model. Andrew is my role model, and I learned a lot from this one. I try to amplify as much as I can. That's the whole purpose. But at the very beginning, when you devote all your energy in making money, and when you suddenly turn into the politics,
I would say it is not all sudden to the politics.
Yeah.
I would say when I was in high school, I always would like to say, what can I contribute to the society? So I was thinking, if I contribute to society, and then maybe at that time I was in Hong Kong, and during high school, and I would say maybe China needs agriculture. I will say go agriculture. And later on, I said, how about human service? I want to be a medical doctor and helping people. And then when I came over to the United States, and then one thing turned to another, I wasn't able to get into the medical school as a foreign student at that time. Then I would just take anything. So therefore, basically, my work is this, I just want to be with people. So therefore, business is not always on my mind. But somehow one thing leads to another. I happen to be end up to be in business, and then then to be added, and then it happened to be I spent more time all my life on on networking with other people and helping out other people on their business rather than my own. So therefore, I'm not an accumulation of, in that sense of business. And then, but however, during all my traveling, I kind of came back to the United States from Vietnam in 1975 with the boat people. And then by 1985, I'm already going to the Far East. And then for 15 years outside, I physically, actually, the whole family lived in Taiwan for 3 years and Hong Kong for 10 years. And during all those time, I just still yearning for United States, because reason why is this: the system of United States is a fair system. The system of the United States give everybody an opportunity. So when I came back, I was so happy to be back. I was so happy to be involved again, because something that I felt that to participate in the social civic community, I think give me a lot of satisfaction, a lot of comfort, a lot of motivation, because I have a chance. Because reason why outside of the United States is special interest. If you're not in the special interest group, and then you cannot play. And then when you look into the special interest group, they have a lot of selfish agenda inside. But US, you can be fair, you can do whatever you want or organize something that the society and the system allowed you to organize that way. So this is how I was very, very excited about Andrew running, because he's really forward-looking and find out we have to prepare for the future, and the future will come sooner than you expected, and then we have to be ready. So therefore, basically, those kind of things that will allow United States allow such a thinking, and then allow somebody to rally behind it, and then elsewhere anywhere else in the world, you have to belong to a machine or a special interest group. So therefore, basically, United States, anybody who have a dream and the ideal matches, and then his talent and his relevance, and then the passion for a better United States is allowed, and they're encouraged, and there will be a following. So this is why no matter what kind of challenges we have, we are living in the land of opportunity and a land of allowance. So therefore, basically, this is something that when I came back, then I would say, okay, let me go back to the Asian Americans. Asian Americans are the fastest growing immigration groups. Why they come here? Because they came here because it will allow a brighter future. Because they will say our future generation will have the same opportunity to thrive. This is a place to allow everyone who have passion to participate and to thrive in. No matter what kind of challenge we have, imperfection we have, we always have a chance to improve it. We always have a chance to correct it, and then I would say is a place that you can really put gather around the the ideal. I would say USA is everybody say is a melting pot. Then I agree. Sometimes one individual, no matter how good they are, they're only a very small part of it. I would say the allowance, the acceptance, and then the willing to be melt together to make a better future. I think this is a very important thing. So therefore, basically, there are a lot of challenges in the future. So therefore, in terms of making the soup well, we must have a just society. We must have a educated society. We must have a society that will embrace each other. So accept each other, and then to put our difference apart to build a better future. Because right now, the world, the globe is very fragile. Resources are depleted. We just have to get together to make sure our future generations will have a chance to continue to thrive. So therefore, basically, what I say is this: we're wasting a lot of resources at the present time, polluting a lot of things, and then burning a lot of natural resources that become so wasteful. And then, I mean, I would say we have to look beyond one generation.
Yeah, kind of along those lines. I'm really curious about what do you see as the greatest challenge then facing American society today?
I think I hope this will be a short-term situation, is because we are not willing to go across the aisle and embrace each other. There's so much, the country is so polarized to the extreme, to the point that they label whoever don't agree with you. So in such a case, without personal understanding, they automatically just reject each other, which is not good. I would say embracing each other is so important. And I think also the situation is just the system right now is just for the ones who already have, and then will be so selfish to keep what they have, is actually pretty dangerous. Is because it will create a lot of tension, and then would not allow the country to move forward. Case in point is that a lot of people who have the privilege, and then they maintain that privilege and don't want any other people do not have that privilege, is actually is a dangerous thing. If everybody who do not have the opportunity and given the opportunity, they'll do well. If the whole society doing well, the society will be in harmony. And right now, I would say there's a lot of selfishness there. They want to preserve what they have, and then they want to reject the new, and then that would hamper the society to advance. At the same time, a lot of people do not have the opportunity, really a system to disallow them to have the opportunity will create a lot of society imbalance, a lot of conflicts, a lot of hatred, and put it this way, I really don't know how to do it, but somehow my feeling is just, I would say, care and loving is what we lack.
Good.
So therefore, basically, it's just, I think all this, you have to feel comfortable with the unknown. But in order to be comfortable with unknown, you need to be really, really open up and have a long-term view rather than a short-term protective viewpoint. So what I felt is us, I would say that would really need a lot of leadership and promoting and a lot of momentum behind it. So I really do not know the solution, but somehow as a personal a self, that I don't know how to influence other people, but I just hoped I can really practice what I believe, and really I have very little solution. But on the other hand, is just that I really hope that my concentration will be only able to cover a small area, and hopefully I could in my life see a few leaders to come up And I hope to really leadership have to start from a young age. So therefore, I'm very much involved in the internship, and then encourage the younger generation, and hopefully plant some seed in them, and they definitely will be the master of our future world.
Thank you, Sandy. I think it's every word you talk, I hope at least a part of our audience can understand. But I have the feeling and the experience fully enjoy this kind of a conversation to make sure that people can listen again and again to absorb your wisdom and the intelligence. And in my mind, you are not only role model, but also it's like a kingmaker, just build the leadership around the country. So it's I think before we wrap up our conversation, I just want to turn one very simple, light question about your personally character building. Is how the literature to impact yourself, and then it's Katie can get the closing remark.
You mean when we say literature?
Yeah, just any novel or it's the author to impact you.
Okay, well, that was a surprise, because reason why is this: for the last 10 years, I have eyesight problem. So therefore, I read a lot prior to that, and then now I have to only can focus for maybe 2 to 5 minutes before I have to relax my eye, because I do have some eye challenges. But somehow I read a lot of magazine, and I read a lot of because right now online I read a lot of title, and then if I want to concentrate, I can read like a few minutes of the content, then I can rest. So therefore, however, when you're talking about what kind of literature, I would say it will be surprising. Recently, I took out 2 books. I actually reviewing it. That I still enjoy it. I happen to be here in my library, and then it's very close by. Okay.
They look long.
Yeah.
Put it this way. I think this is the first book called The Moral Compass by Wayne Bennett. It's about this thick. It's about hundreds of articles. All these articles actually adapted. Okay, and then after that, I don't know which one is first. The Book of Virtue.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the 2 books that I'm having more than 20 some years. And then recently I just I happened to take it down from my bedside. Recently I took it up again, and then some of the story I actually repeat. And one of the story I talk about this many times is the story of how much land a man needs by Tolstoy. I kind of repeat that story many times. And then for this book I recently read, is just I recently read again the article of Gettysburg by Lincoln. I also recently read the article of Winston Churchill, and we're going to fight them on the street. So therefore, basically, so I continue reading. I read many books, but somehow, by a surprise, that I think these are the two books I always go back from time to time.
Really?
Wow. Well, how can I possibly compete with the deep philosophical choices? Tolstoy, of course, is one of the greats. So Sandy, I want to thank you so much for joining us this week.
Yes.
I really
Okay.
appreciated getting to hear from your wisdom and your experience. And we'll
Okay.
wrap it up there. We're probably about out of time. Don, of course, also thank you for joining me as usual.
No,
Well, I thank you very much. I will anticipate hard questions, but you two are so benign and so caring for me.
Yeah, and I will just
All
read a
right.
quick outro right here. So,
Right. I
my
thank you
name
very
is
much,
Kate-
Don.
Oh, sure.
welcome.
Yeah. My name is Katie Simpson.
Katie.
Our podcast is sponsored by Asian American Forward. You can visit our website at asianamericanforward.com. If you enjoyed the show this week or have a topic you'd like to hear us discuss on a future episode, send us your comments at info@asianamericanforward.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can also find us on Facebook and hear more conversations between Don and I at our YouTube channel. If you're a fan of the show, leave us a review in the Apple Podcast Store or tell someone about us. It really helps people find the show. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, everyone. See you again.